Hey guys, Team Rec here. We're here with Bazil. He took his fish deck that he plays week in, week out to Ycs Mini. Caught a lot of people off guard with his rogue strategy, a lot of unorthodox lines that shook up the meta, all those tier decks and sprite decks or tier sprite decks. Yeah, we'll just dive straight into the deck profile. Your record was 4-2-2, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Awesome. Anything you'd like to say about how the day went, how the deck performed?
I really liked it. I think overall, Kashtira Fenrir really dominated this current format.
MVP.
The one thing I'm bummed about is Rolkalos being a water attribute. That threw a little bit of a wrench into my plan. I had a pretty even record against tier players, but it's pretty much 50-50 if they know what they're doing.
Okay.
But let's jump right into this, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
So right off the hop, the titular Kashtira Fenrir, you got to get a 3 of. Shoutouts Thomas and Skylar. I was boring all these and no way I'm going to buy them, but I can't see them sinking in price anytime soon. If you don't know what this card does, it's Pank 2.0. Special summons for free if you control no monsters, and pretty much whenever you want, it's going to banish a face-up target your opponent controls face down. I wouldn't recommend any less than 3. Going first, going second. Card's a house. Next up, we've got the namesake of the deck. It's called Umi Control, and it's dominated by this big bad sea serpent boy, Kyryu Shin. If you don't know what this guy does yet, he's Gozen Fish. This is Gozen match if you control Umi. He searches every turn, and while you control a face-up Umi, your opponent can't control more than one non-water monster. If your opponent doesn't know what they're doing, his continuous effect can really ruin their day. If you just pop them out of nowhere, they cannot respond and they immediately lose their board. You can put them into a lock where they're just stuck staring down some big stinky sea serpent and they've got nothing left to do. You got to run them at 3 in this deck alongside the next best card in the deck, Electric Jellyfish. This guy is just 1 shy of an Omni Negate. With Umi on the field, he's a monster and spell effect negate. Without Umi on the field, he can send an Umi from deck as cost, which is busted, and then bust out any water type monster or water attribute monster from your hand. Doesn't matter the level, doesn't matter if they mention Umi or not, he can just extend into any other water. So this guy is also a 3 of because he's another way to help get out your Kyryu Shins. 2 Warrior of Atlantis. These guys,
nice salties.
first ed, you gotta love it.
There we go. Nice.
So these guys search a legendary ocean, which is Umi no matter where it is. It's a key portion to the deck, getting that Umi on the field. So having 2 Warrior of Atlantis almost ensures that you have, I think it's 9-ish ways to get to Umi in the deck. We've got Doom Kraken as a 1 of. He is a special summon targeting one of your monsters, one of your opponents, bouncing yours, popping your opponents, and getting him on the field. So it's kind of like a hand trap. But furthermore, when he's on the field, you don't even need Umi for this. He's a return to hand, negate the attack. If your opponent's got their one non-water monster locked in, you can just keep him stuck there for pretty much forever while you attack directly with Mega Fortress Whale.
Oh, yeah.
So while Umi's on the field, you can declare the effect to make all your water monsters able to attack directly that turn, meaning if they can't do anything in their board state, you're just eventually going to punch through for game. Not only that, recently something I've spiced out with is his second effect where if he's destroyed, he can special summon a water warrior monster from your deck. So shoutouts Sever, who topped in YCS Utrecht, for really pushing Skull Mariner. I've been enjoying this in the list. He's a little bit of a brick to have your level 4 vanilla water warrior monster, but it's kind of fun. One thing I've learned to have fun with too is Maiden of the Aqua. So if there's no field spell face up active, she's Umi while on the field. I've had some crazy plays. I went Chain Link 4 with a card we'll get to later to special summon both her and Kyryu Shin onto the field. The guy didn't understand that these were continuous effects, so mid-chain, he had to send one of his monsters to the graveyard, had to call a judge. He told me I was totally correct. It felt really good.
Awesome.
But over the past about 2 months of testing, I'd say that this has to be in the deck. I wouldn't play this deck without Maiden of the Aqua. So I think I'm on 15 monsters as it stands.
Okay, pretty clean.
And I'm in 19 spells. I've been playing a lot more spells. It's 40 cards for sure. I wouldn't go over it. But the most important card is a Legendary Ocean. This card downgrades all water monsters on the field and in hand by 1 level and boosts their attack by 200. The level reduction is super important. Karyushin's a level 5. With this on the field, he's a level 4 in hand, so you can normal summon Gozen Match. It's an extremely powerful combo, but it also facilitates the busted abilities of your other water monsters. You have to run this one at 3. Next up, we've got 3 Sea Stealth 2. This is another set of 3 Umis. It protects from non-water monster targeting effects. This deck eats things like Effect Veiler for breakfast. But not only that, at the start of either player's battle phase, you can special summon a monster that mentions Umi from your hand or graveyard until the end of the battle phase, at which point it'll be destroyed. So you can kind of do some funny little battle shenanigans. Some people won't expect it. You can really bring out that Doom Kraken for a free negate. But for the most part, it's a protective extra copy of Umi in the deck. Got to run it at 3 because, like I said, I believe in having an Umi always on field. Next up is Fish Engage. So Fish Sonar searches any Umi mentioning monster that's level 7 or lower. Then if you've got Umi on the field, it brings out your water normal monster. So we're on Skull Mariner.
Fish Engage, right?
Fish Engage.
Like people like to call it?
Fish Engage, as I was first introduced to it. So this will search you for your Jellyfish, your Karyushin, your Doom Kraken, your Mega Fortress Whale if you need it, and then to top it off, you can sometimes summon a level 4 Water Warrior monster normal from the deck. But if your opponent lets this resolve, you get to pick your suite of the card that you need. It's amazing, and you got to run it at 3 in the deck because it's your Rhoda.
Awesome.
3 pot for consistency. It doesn't need to be explained at this point.
Yeah.
Looking at an extra 6 cards in your deck and having your pick of the litter just really pushes this deck into trying to land that floodgate that you really want.
So on that note, is your extra deck space tight, or are you easily to just banishing the 6? And
I can get
no
into
thought
the
there?
extra deck soon. It takes a little bit of thought.
Okay.
With Tier's new plays, they make that water monster, and I've seen a lot more water monsters in the extra. There are some things you can do, so sometimes I'm a little weary on banishing the Area Water Enchantress.
Yeah.
But we'll get more into the extra deck. For the most part, I'm banishing roughly the same 6 every time. It's nothing too important. You dip into it like once in a blue moon.
Sounds good.
Next up, even though you do want to go first to set up traps, and floodgates, and whatnot, and by floodgates I just mean Karyushin. We're not on any continuous traps except for Sea Stealth attack, but you got to run 3 main deck Dark Ruler No Mores. The important part to running DRNM is that you are, if you lose the die roll, negating all of your opponent's monsters effects, and then if that works out for you, you're going to activate a Legendary Ocean, normal summon Karyushin, they lose their entire board. You're not winning in 1 turn with this deck, so just being able to set up with Dark Ruler allows you to grind out the game into a more favorable state. For the last of the spells, it's all 1-ofs. So Terraforming, a necessary evil, and surprisingly at the YCS, I didn't see a single mine, and I haven't mined a single person other than a reason to get a negate out of the way. But you gotta run Terraforming. If you're running a field spell for Terraforming, you may as well run mine as a little failsafe.
For sure.
My other 1-ofs, and this card was insane, was Dimensional Fissure. Every time I landed this, I faced more than 50% tiers.
Okay.
They could not deal with this card. They had to out it. They had to find some way to get it off the field.
How did they out it when they did, or did
it
they
was
ever?
weird stuff. It was things like Dracoback. You know, if
Okay.
they were running a main deck Cosmic Cyclone, good for you.
Yeah.
But a lot of it too was if you have Jellyfish on the field, you can kind of protect the castle. If they try and do back row removal, you can negate. It's mostly spell effects.
So sort of the common thread with your deck, like with, you know, Gozen Fish, D-Fissure, all that is you're putting those people in a really hard spot where they almost have to go minus just to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like it's a different deck. They won't understand that if you have some threats, they'll kind of tunnel vision on getting rid of them. You could say, okay, well, I'll negate that. And they'll say, wait, you can negate? Yes, you picked up my card to read it. I understand that it's new to you, but I got some tough news for you, buddy. That D-Fissure is staying online.
Awesome.
And the last one of course, is going to be the Called by the Grave. I find this deck really fragile to random off-the-cuff hand traps like Joel and Lockbird. Thank you, Team Rec, for teaching me that one. Ash Blossom can really hurt. And so I figured, you know, even with tiers running around all over the place, just having the 1-off spot negate for the graveyard really helped. And the last lineup of cards would be the traps. So I've got 3 of Sea Stealth Attack. This card is insane. On activation, it can activate an Umi from hand or graveyard. From there, you can banish until end of turn one of your water monsters as cost to protect from destruction all of your face-up spells and traps. But also, if one of your original level 5 or higher water monsters is involved in a battle, at the start of the damage step, your opponent's monster is going to get destroyed. A lot of people read this and they think like, oh, okay, it's spell and trap destruction. I've been attacked a lot, and I say, okay, start a damage step, your guy's dead. And they're like, wait, what? They just had their card in their hands, and they had to reread it like a 7th time to think like, oh, that card really does mean business. Furthermore, it combos really well with the aptly named Sea Stealth 2. Since this special summons and destroys at the end of battle phase, you can bring back your big monsters and then banish them until the end of the turn to kind of keep regenerating your resources that you may have lost throughout the duel. I was going back and forth on the numbers of Umi's Sea Stealths and Karyushin spells and traps to run, and I think I found a kind of sweet spot of the numbers. Because the next two would be a pair of Karyushin's Dark Reef. Like I said, I've been playing this deck for a couple months. I've found that this one is very reliant on opening with an extra copy of Umi. So I was tired of bricking on 2 copies of these or 1 copy of this and no Umi. I moved it down to 2, and this is fine to just search with Karyushin. What this one does is it's going to special summon 2 monsters that mention Umi from your deck or hand, and then if your opponent controls a monster, it can also summon a water normal monster, shout out Skull Mariner. And lastly, we've got Metaverse. This card's just busted. It's fast terraforming that puts it right to the field. Some people deal with your field spell, and you just bring it right back out. Sometimes you just make mine.
So 5 ocean, 3 mine.
5 ocean, 3... No, 6 ocean, 1 mine.
Oh, yeah.
No, 5... Well, anyways, lots of Umi, 1 mine.
Yeah.
Next up would be the extra. And like I said, you don't go into a lot. But playing against a lot of tier, there is a lot of ways to make Abyss Dwell in your first turn.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
what the Skull Mariner helps facilitate, is if you land that Sea Stealth 2 and you know you're playing against tier, you can Fish Sonar, search a level 4, special summon Skull Mariner, normally a level 4, make that Dweller, and just shut off a couple of their turns, and it can really help. But for the most part, you're not doing any cheeky extra deck plays. Your monsters that you normal or special summon are good enough. The rest of what we got are the Bahamut Shark with a Toad.
I have it.
Kragan with a Spawn for some weird grindy control-based games, and these ones never came up all week.
Okay.
One that did, though, was the Spicy Fortune Tune. Because of
nice.
Legendary Ocean's level reduction, your 4s become 3s. You can turn them into a Fortune Tune,
Whoa.
which incidentally turns into Downward Magician, which can make for a format Zeus in case you need to do it. One I like is Abyss Keeper. He's a Link 2 that can summon Mega Fortress Whale if it's stuck in your hand, and he can also banish some of your opponent's stuff with targeting. Again, I didn't make him this week. I have made him before, but he's just kind of a fun little inclusion. Area, the Water Enchantress. Like I said, this can steal things like Rokolos or just random water monsters in your opponent's grave. It's definitely nice to have, but doesn't always come up. But one thing that's been real interesting with the introduction of a new card called World Sea Dragon Zelantis is this nice little Marincest line I've got going on. So they all take water monsters to make 2 or more, but Coral Anemone is an extender. She summons one with 1500 or less from the grave, 1 water monster. Then you can turn those into a 3, and if you've got a 4th water monster on the field, you can link all the way up to Aqua Argonaut. Marbled Rock doesn't matter a ton, but Argonaut is sometimes spot removal, but for the most part is a 1-card link into Zelantis. Now along the way, Coral Anemone is going to lock you into waters. So if you use Zelantis' effect to banish everything on both players' fields, you cannot special summon non-water monsters. So if your opponent had any non-water monsters banished, they're gone for good. And it was a cheeky little play. I did it once. I felt kind of gross about it, but that's definitely going to be a staple in the deck moving forward. And lastly, this card is extremely clutch. I'm not going to say why. I'll leave that up to community decisions.
Great Ycs monster.
Yeah, it's just a classic, right?
Yeah.
For extra deck, I went in with 3 shifters. Again, this just helps against the tier matchup. Banishing graveyards is absurd. You'd seen it in the finals too. Duster and 3 Cosmics. I thought I'd see more mines. I didn't see more mines. I didn't see any Runic. I think I dustered like 1 or 2 things. Not too much I had to hate with the back row removal, but it's pretty straightforward. Here's some personal spice. You got the one of a pointer now, and one of spiritual water art, Owie.
Oh man.
This one actually came up, and I did hit a couple people. There was a tier Sprite player, and I did owie him on his draw phase, hitting his only Sprite name being Sprite Blue. It was under Shifter. It got banished. Things got weird. I really like this card. It's a funny one.
Amazing.
3 anti-spell. I didn't get to use this once this week, but that's all right. It's still a really good card. Part of me wanted to main it. I thought I'd see more Runic. Didn't see any Runic, but if I did, this would have gone in a heartbeat. And of course, lastly, 3 evenly matched for that going second. It's such a powerhouse of a card. Every time I evenly matched, I came out on top. So yeah, those were my decisions for the week with Umi Control. Definitely currently one of my favorite decks. I want to give a shout out to...
Let's hear it.
Both the Paul brothers, Thomas and Austin. I want to give a shout out to Kayvon, our judge back home, Alex. I want to give a shout out to Josh. Again, Skylar for letting me borrow a Fenrir, and of course, Team Rec. Like and subscribe when you get the chance because they're a great channel.
Thank you, Basil. We applaud your creativity and solid theory, and then taking a rogue strategy to this big event.
4-2-2. It
did
wasn't
great.
that bad.
You were so close. Proud of you. Take care, guys. Stay tuned for more.